Took me a few, but that's 200 yards with the Glock 47.
I'm pretty sure we all know who Glock is, and most of us probably know that the 47 is the replacement in Gen 5 for the 17, because it not only allows you to use your 47 or 17 length slide, but also the shorter 19 length slide, or the slide that comes on your Model 45. While I have always had a healthy respect for Glock pistols, they have just never been my personal favorite due to the angles, the trigger, you know, all that stuff that people generally say could just be a little bit better. And for that reason, I've always changed a few things out on them. But something about this Glock 47 in its current configuration just seems to be that secret sauce for me. Not to mention, for some reason, right out of the box, this thing had like a 3.5 to 4.5 pound trigger pull, which is pretty crazy because they're usually much higher. And I've had multiple other people report to me after I brought that up that theirs are the same when brand new. Well, welcome back everybody. Now, do I love Glock again? Have they recaptured my heart? Make sure you guys get subscribed to the channel. Check out our sponsor. It is Shell Shock Protection. They make the eye and hearing protection I wear out on the range. It's ballistic rated stuff and it looks good enough to wear out on the range or out on the town. Link down below for you with a little bit of a discount. And if you guys are interested in anything we talk about or you see here today, I'll have the parts list linked down below. First link in the description. If you brave souls eating pizza in your employer's break room, casting it to the TV, I'll put the QR code for you right up here. Now, before we talk about the intricate details of the 47, let's talk about what's going on with this Glock, everything that is on this thing that kind of just makes it that secret sauce for me. And then maybe talk a little bit about what I might do to this thing in the future. And first up, let's talk about that back strap right there from Chiral Defense. So basically what this thing does is it helps this mirror the grip angle of a 1911, which I'm a huge fan of because my wrists and my body just kind of wants to have a more neutral grip angle rather than that really aggressive Glock angle. Now this is the shock absorbing version. They do have a kind of more standard version and they do work. It was actually quite a nice difference, especially on presentation when I was bringing the pistol up. And it does help me to have that natural angle and not have to like wrench my wrist all the way forward like that. And I think a lot of other people in the same boat. So this is a pretty economical fix for that. The basic one I think is like 29 and then the like shock absorbing version is 39. So not bad at all. And I'll have all of that over at the build list. And one last cool thing about those Chiral Defense back straps, they're actually approved by several law enforcement entities, including the Secret Service, which is generally a big positive because anytime a government entity is going to approve something like that, they generally put them through a pretty rigorous testing process to ensure not only safety, reliability, and that they actually perform the function that they're supposed to. Downstairs, I have the SLR magwell. It's been one of my longtime favorite go-tos for a magwell, and I'm a huge fan of magwells. They generally can only help you. They help with grip, they help with magazine exchanges under stress or speed, anything like that. And SLR uses a flat screw on the backside, which is nice. Some other companies use like a button head, which can give you a blister or dig into your skin, especially on those longer training days. I'm also running those Shield Arms mag extensions right there. So I've run a lot of mag extensions over the years. These ones are just stupid easy to put on. They're a +5. They come with the additional power spring because anytime you're gonna go over a +2, you need to use a plus powered spring to ensure reliability, feeding, all of that stuff out there. A lot of my friends have been running the Shield stuff for a very long time, so I figured I would just pick a brand and go with it and kind of be all in rather than having like mix and match stuff all over the place. And they make those for a bunch of other pistols as well. I think CZ, M&P, they make some stuff for rifles, so you can check them out. I'll have info over at the build list. And then as you probably noticed, that is the Trijicon RMR HD up on top. I think we all know that these are probably about as bulletproof as it gets when it comes to an optic. Now this one has that circle dot reticle, kind of that donut of death EOTech style thing going on. And I have to say, this is the clearest and most crisp dot I have ever seen. I have astigmatism, so generally I see the bug splatter on the wall. This thing was exceptionally clear, and that made a huge role when it came to me shooting distance. Taking this pistol out 75, 100, 150, 200 yards with this Glock 47, that optic clarity made a massive difference in my long range performance. And of course, that speed up close. You will still get a little bit of that bluish hue that Trigicon's kind of known for, but honestly, I don't care. I don't notice it when I'm shooting, so it's not a big issue to me. But if you want to sit there and stare through it to see if there's color, you're going to notice that. But out on the range, it pretty much just goes away, and all you're going to see is dot, target, and just red smash. And then of course, in true Glock fashion, they did put these short sights on the pistol from the factory, which is stupid. If you're going to sell me an optic ready pistol, at least make the sights like mid height so I can just barely get a sight witness there over the optic. And it really kind of sucks because these are the AmeriGlow Bold sights, which are actually really good, but they're just kind of a waste of money on this pistol. So for the love of God, please stop putting short sights on optic ready pistols. For the light out front, I'm running the new TLR1 HLX, a little bit of a design change. They've got more of the kind of surefire style paddles on there, a little bit of a different backplate on them and a takedown mechanism in there. Overall good light, seems super bright, seems very crisp and clear. I'll be using that more and more when I'm having fun out there at night with the crew, kind of doing some night vision stuff. Performance-wise out on the range with this 47 in the way that it sits right here, I had zero issues. And that's exactly what we should expect from a Glock, because this design is largely unchanged for 40-ish years. So it should be 100% reliable. And I think that's pretty much everybody out there's expectation, unless you're running like Bubba down by the river reloaded ammo. So you can absolutely run this thing fast and flat. That chiral back strap just made it way more comfortable for me to use. The optic makes the thing super fast up front and much more accurate out at distance. That lighter feeling trigger is definitely very nice, although it still has that kind of longer take up and longer travel when it comes to a Glock pistol. Not more refined, kind of like the PDP or other pistols out there that have really cleaned the striker fired triggers up over the past several years, because when this pistol was invented and that trigger was, designed, law enforcement was coming out of revolvers and like crazy heavy long trigger pulls. And a lot of company kind of played into that. They didn't want to go to like a 1911 style trigger when people were coming out of carrying 8-pound trigger revolvers with like an inch of travel. But Glock could still probably do a lot to this trigger, keep all the safeties and everything that we love for it, but make it just a little bit better. So the speed work and the up close stuff was exactly what we'd expect. You can run this thing fast and extremely flat once you got your grip in. These things just make it a little bit nicer and easier for me. Now, when it came to the distance, this package just made it all come together for me. I took this from 25 to 200 yards, which is pretty crazy for a full-size pistol. So let's go ahead and check that out.
Distance Glock 47, 25 to start. Easy. All right, 50. Easy. 75. This is where it starts to get a little spicy. Take that dot down a notch. $75. All right, 100. Just low. Same thing. Ooh. Man, right off of it. There we go. I'll do that again now that I kind of know where my aim is at. Okay, 100, now go 125. 125. Just off to the right. Just over. There we go, 125. Low, but we'll give it some more, give it a shot. All right, 150. It's a long way away. First shot, 175. Right. So just flip around real quick and show. That's 200 yards.
It's hard to even see the target from here. Just low. Just low. Woo. Just right. Oh, man. I don't think this one's gonna happen today. Took me a few, but that's 200 yards with the Glock 47. All right, now hard spec wise, I'm just gonna throw the sheet up here for you from Glock so you guys can either pause and read or just enjoy a little bit of sweet, sweet music. So when it comes to the Glock, the really big changes when it came to the Gen 5, it's DLC coded. You've got front serrations, rear serrations, it's optic ready. You've got interchangeable back straps. It does have a natural flared mag well from the factory on there. You get one accessory slot up front and you get the same Glock trigger and the safeties, which we have all come to know and love because this thing is 100% completely drop safe, which is a big topic in the industry right now, based on some problems that other brands seem to be having. But the 47 does give us a little bit more than previous generations. So on previous generations, if you don't know, you could have like a 26, a 19, a 17, a 34 and use these longer magazines in them. And that is pretty much where the modularity ended. But with the 47 giving us this shorter end up front, but that full size grip, you can run the full size slide, or you can run a 19 slide if you want to carry a little bit less length in the pants that day. Say you're carrying appendix and you want to roll around with not as long of a slide on there, which is I'm kind of preferable to. I like the 45, that shorter slide, longer grip, and that just works for me. You now have that option. And then of course, all of your previous generation and generally your aftermarket magazines are going to work as well, Gen 3, 4, and 5, unless you go lefty. So Gen 3 magazines didn't have the left side cutout for left-handed users. So if you swap the mag release over, you can only use Gen 4, 5, and aftermarket magazines that are ready for Gen 4 and 5. But there are some negatives when it comes to the Glock Gen 5, right? And the first thing I'm gonna bring up is the grip texture on these things is anemic. It could be so much better than what is on there. Yes, it's usable, but it's just not that great. You still have that long take up on the trigger, all that travel, that mush that most people just don't like. They could do a far better job for sure. And then last up, if you don't use that Cairo backstrap, you have those aggressive grip angles that a lot of people just don't like because it just doesn't fit the way their wrists and hands want to interface with the pistol. And now on the current release of Gen 5s, you don't get as many back straps with it, so apparently Glock went El Cheapo on us and saved themselves $2 a pistol. As far as my future plans for this 47 right here, I am definitely going to put the Ramjet Afterburner from Radian on here with that shorter slide, kind of do that modernized roll-in special thing because those things 100% work. You can feel the difference in those Ramjet Afterburners. Radian is also going to be coming out with a magwell for the full-size pistols very soon, and I'm definitely going to be trying that out. Now, if you don't know, I do work for Radian. I've been very clear about that. That's something that happened over the past like 8 or 9 months, but I've loved Radian products forever. It's just now I get to work directly with the company as kind of a consultant. And last up, I'll probably put an Overwatch Precision trigger shoe in here because the bar and the connector that are in it seem to be pulling right where I want them to be anyways. But I would really just like to have that Overwatch shoe, one for the tactile feel on the finger right there, but also that trigger shoe will take up about 15 to 20% of that trigger travel, which I think is completely safe for a duty carry firearm. So did this 47 win me back? And do I love Glock again, right? So Glock has never not been in my good graces. I have an extreme respect for them. They just don't always fit me. However, this thing does based on what I have done to it. But that doesn't mean I don't want to see more from Glock. I want to see a chassis system where we get a drop-in chassis so we can buy just grip modules, everything from a 26 to a 34, a cheap grip module, right? 30, 40, 50, something like that. You have that chassis system, drop it in, then you can just have different slides. That way you can run the gamut of all the sizes and not have to spend 550, 650 galactic credits every time you want or need a different size, whether it's for duty, carry, a 26, a 19, a 45, a 40, whatever it is out there. That system would just make it so much better. And I know there are some patents running around out there with Glock showing a modular grip and stuff, and that would be super cool. But just remember, Glock patents a whole lot of stuff and never comes out with it. So I'm really hoping they do step into the modern era with modular pistols and just knock it out of the park. But in my opinion, currently with Glock offerings, the 47 is the way to go. You kind of get like the trifecta, right? You can run the full size, you can run the 19, and then if you're feeling spicy, you can put that Radiant Ramjet Afterburner on there, run the 19 link slide with that comp and get extreme recoil reduction without being any longer than the factory 47 slide. So it's like the best of three worlds if you're into that kind of thing. And coming in right around 650 galactic notes, depending on the sights and everything that they come with out of the box, that's really not a bad price in the modern market. Make sure you get subbed up to the channel, keep doing things on the range, and remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.